down to trying to expose yourself to the best things that humans have done, and then try to bring those things in to what you're doing. I mean, Picasso had a saying, he said, good artists copy, great artists steal.
Chances are, if you're someone who's capable of a creative headspace, then odds are you've probably seen this quote at least once, maybe twice even. I like to take certain things into account when having a perspective on every probability of a situation. And when it comes to media, there are a plethora of ideas that have been thrown around and used for multiple different scenarios that have all stemmed from the original idea. Hollywood has done this for years and has evolved time after time again. Creating new and innovative ideas and taking inspiration from your predecessor is what it's really all about in this industry. And anime has also made it apparent that it's capable of the same effort through homages in every form of animation. Doesn't matter the studio or company, homages lie in every which way, because there's always something and or someone to take inspiration from. We've all created, but I think what triggers us to create at an exceptional level is those who are known for creating that original piece that inspired us to innovate from the source. You see, both the film industry and the anime industry are two of some of my favorite forms of media in an industrial sense. And when you amalgamate it, it could sometimes be for the better, or unfortunately, the worse. Let me explain. In most recent times, anime has been exploding and becoming more and more mainstream by the day. And what to do when you want even more recognition? Well, it's simple actually. Just feed into the popular media at your disposal. Chainsaw Man has done this exceptionally with literally just its intro. Chainsaw Man's OP had successfully made its whole sequence about paying homage to author Tatsuki Fujimoto's favorite films in Western and even an incy bit of his own Eastern media. You had references to movies such as Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, No Country for Old Men, Constantine, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, well, that one was kind of a given, but just all that and even more. Even a bit of love for Evangelion in the mix, showing appreciation to one of his favorite anime of all time. And that's just one series. Another would be choreography. With more recent anime of this generation, because, like I said, anime is exploding at an exceptional rate, therefore studios feel a lot more inclined to add their flavor of pop culture into the mix. Boruto not being the best series to consume, it has its homages, with its fights being one of my favorite aspects about the anime. The MCU and just superheroes in general have an unreal amount of flair to anime's influence, and with fights, there's also design choices taken into account. I mean hell, look at My Hero Academia for one, being the two sides of the same coin, giving a proper foot into the door into the shonen demographic and its superhero effect all merged into one. These stories can't be made by just a sheer idea from one person's creation. They all stem from multiple inspirations of creativity, and in this case, film being the center of attention. And without it, I can pretty much say for certain that a lot of our favorite Eastern media wouldn't be the same vice versa. And look, I know I probably titled the video something with anime in the mix, but with manga, they go hand in hand. So sometimes there are certain references that come from the source material that don't really have the chance to make the adaptation for obvious reasons. Berserk can't even get the adaptation it deserves, so even if they try to incorporate most of the references Kentaro Miura includes, the anime wouldn't even be able to get as far to even adapt the series before the studio just gives up. Luckily, Kentaro Miura, rest his soul, has a huge love for Western media and film, and everything I mentioned prior when it comes to homages, Miura incorporated into his own series, with fights, designs, and even a whole arc named after one of the most iconic ships in all of fiction, the Millennium Falcon. As for designs though, Miura loved anything freakishly that could resemble that of a dark fantasy, so he took inspiration from films such as Alien for the designs of the Apostles, Hellraiser for the designs of the God Hand, even scenes and panels merch took to homage from Conan the Barbarian in the early 80s. Even Attack on Titan had a few, not so much to film, but television, with its inspiration of characters being inspired from some of my favorites, like Falco taking design inventiveness from Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad, which is crazy to even think about, Gabby being one-to-one with Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, and just a whole lot more. And out of all things considered, I think what's most fascinating about these references is when they are looked at vice versa. What if I were to tell you that Berserk, Naruto, Hajime no Ippo, Dragon Ball, and many more have been used as references in Hollywood? with moments such as the eclipse from Berserk in one of the most blockbuster hit films of all time, Avengers Infinity War, Cowboy Bebop in Blade Runner 2049, pretty much any battle shonen displayed, and what is probably the best one-to-one adaptation of anime reference to one on the big screen with Michael B. Jordan's Creed 3, which I'll get back to in a moment. Even Disney going on ahead and referencing as big of a series as Pokemon and Big Hero 6. And you can't forget the years of tributes to the Akira slide in any film with a motorcycle, like I mean years of homages. This slide has to be one of, if not the most referenced homage in all of anime crossed over to film, TV, and just anything that can capture this moment, because of the length of years it's been used across all the way from the film's debut in '88 to the most recent big screen tribute of Jordan Peele's Nope. Not to mention, but Akira isn't known just for its slide scene that may be the most iconic, but even a film such as Chronicles was heavily inspired by the entire series of Akira, some of which would say they even go one-to-one. And if you really think about it, anime as a whole just has been a huge phenomenon for a while now. But why is that all of a sudden we're finally starting to see more and more references to memorable moments in modern film? It's that it's not that it hasn't been a thing, more or less it's starting to become, keyword, recognizable in a memorable fashion. Let's jump back to Creed 3. For one, this is Jordan's first film as a director. Now, let that sink in, like seriously, cause it's kind of crazy how everything was put together in the long run. He of course worked on projects in the past not only as an actor, but as a producer, yet never as a director till Creed 3. This movie is the third in what I'm to believe as the final film in the Creed trilogy, and Jordan's love for anime sprung to him as a kid, and he was always immersed into the culture of anime throughout his years as an actor as well as a producer. But what has been the main problem with anime and film merging into one? Well, you guessed it, it's the live action adaptations that seem to have this track record of always being, well, just pretty damn bad. This is because most of the time, these adaptations are merely cash grabs, not so much of a passion project. In addition, most of the time, the one in charge of the whole adaptation is just, well, not so knowledgeable on the whole series taken into action. Except with Jordan's Creed 3, that wasn't the case, and instead, this was not only just a passion project, but a dream. And he chose the few series that he would study going into this, not only for reference, yet a whole style of fighting being created from his favorite animes of all time to be used for not only his character, but together with Jonathan Majors' character. There are scenes throughout this movie that just embody what live action adaptation should really look like when it comes to a battle manga. And funnily enough, this isn't even an anime adaptation, it's Jordan's passion project. In spite of Jordan's work though, he's just one director, not upon the abundance of people who have tried to make anime come to life and failed time after time again. Live actions just seem to never work, yet I think the one thing to take from all this is that maybe, just maybe, this is where we'll start to see a change in the day and age of live action adaptations. You see, more faces of passion have been arising with offers coming to surface in the live action adaptation world. One Piece, for one, as of this recording, is currently in the post-production process of its first season of the live action adaptation. Now, when it comes to this adaptation, I personally have the utmost faith in its success solely because of the showrunner and producer's passion for the entire series of One Piece. Not only just the anime, but the weekly chapter release of the series. What's more, the runners of the series personally met with Eiichiro Oda, the mangaka of One Piece, to talk about how they could handle bringing a series like One Piece to life. In sum, by the end of the process before casting began, Oda personally handpicked the people knowledgeable on the series to be the ones in charge of bringing his world to life. Because in Oda's mind and eyes, having a live action adaptation of One Piece is its last chance to bring in One Piece to the world, for those who don't necessarily consume animated and or manga content. And something like this, meaning the passion, the effort, and the charisma, hasn't really been done when going into creating a live action adaptation of a series, at least in my eyes. And maybe someday I'll go into more on the other adaptations, but for now, this is really the only one I have my eyes set on, so I guess that's all we got. You see though, inspiration is where the key lies for all things in Hollywood. Taking admiration for other creative predecessors and innovating those ideas into your own form of art is what it's all about. That's why I think the impact anime has made on the film industry is absolutely tremendous, with certain growth in the years to come. Who knows what's to expect moving forward in this industry with new faces and passion for these anime. The references to be shown not only in film, but conversely with anime and manga is just inevitable to grow with the day and age we live in. These sources of media are what I adore and aspire to keep consuming as time goes on. And the unavoidable vision of creativity is just there to expand past our current comprehension of what's capable in today's world of the medium. But with time being of the essence, it's only natural to see the unpreventable impact these series we all love and adore will make on what's next to come to life in Hollywood.